Good Monday afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. A little later in the show, we'll be joined by Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, Ellis Williams, and plenty of Browns talk as we will kind of dissect and talk about that win over the Texans in the home opener. Kevin Stefanski addressed the latest injuries, Jarvis Landry among them, as well as talking a little bit about getting the win in the home opener.
On the injury front, Jarvis has an MCL sprain. He'll be week to week. Taki has a hamstring strain. He's week to week. And Hub is improving, but he remains week to week. You know, with yesterday, kind of talked about it after the game. Always good to get a win. There's plenty for us to clean up. There's plenty of corrections to be made. And that's what the guys are working hard on today and making those corrections. So we can go out this week and play better football against a one-on-one Chicago Bears team coming to our place.
Let's welcome in Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. And Dan, banged up is a good way to describe the Browns. We'll talk in groups. So Jarvis Landry, not sure what week to week means. I don't think Jarvis knows yet. MCL sprain, not as bad as it could have been, not great. But another linebacker in Sione Taki with a hamstring issue. So those are concerns.
Yeah, they are. And the Jarvis thing, we'll see how that plays out. You know, Jarvis has never missed a game due to injury in his career. Just had that Jets game last year where he got caught up in the COVID-19 protocols and the contact tracing. So, you know, Kevin would not rule out Jarvis today. Now, on Wednesday when we talked to him, he might make the decision to rule him out, but he wouldn't make that move today. And he wouldn't rule out IR either. So there's a huge range of kind of where this could end up for Landry. And it wouldn't surprise me if he really tries to push to get out there on Sunday. Sprained MCL can be tricky, though, so the Browns might have to go without him for a couple weeks. We might see him miss those first few games of his career. And Taki, you know, he's played about 30% of the defensive snaps, somewhere around there, but he's still a valuable piece of that linebacker rotation, especially as you're still kind of trying to get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah up to speed to see what he can do. And you're playing without Anthony Walker as well. So varying degrees of how much you'll miss those guys. But, you know, I think both injuries do impact this team.
Yeah, and a scary moment earlier in the game when on an interception return, Baker Mayfield kind of went down. Mayfield talked about that play and coming back as well as losing Jarvis Landry.
Obviously not an ideal situation. Trying to force him back inside, and I think he realized it was me standing right there, so put his head down and ran right after me. Kind of popped in and out, but be good. Nothing too serious.
You came running out of the locker room pretty quick. Is there any chance that we're going to miss a snap?
No.
Hey Jarvis, how did you handle losing Jarvis so early in the game? Such a big part of what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've had to preach the next man up mentality quite a bit. You know, and we've been trying to tell Delpit that he needs to be, you know, studying Jarvis's stuff quite a bit, just because when they get the ball in their hands, good things happen. Obviously, that showed today. You never want to lose a player in the caliber of Jarvis, but even more so the leadership that he brings. When things aren't going well, you know, the stuff that he can say to all the guys, and just another voice that, you know, we have to lean on. So it sucks. So hopefully it's not too serious, and we'll move on.
And Dan, again, came in, played well. Did Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski went to that ground attack, but a shoulder that's popping in and out, even if it's the non-throwing shoulder, that's not what you're looking for with a quarterback.
No, it's not. And Kevin Stefanski, even kind of in a rare moment of honesty on Sunday, I thought, admitted that he didn't want to get Baker Mayfield hit. He had to make some adjustments with how he called that game, and you saw it right off the bat, right? I mean, you mentioned it. They just run on that first series. Baker threw the ball, I think, one time in the first 8 plays of that series, and then he ended up scrambling in for the touchdown. But it's something to keep an eye on moving forward. Obviously, you want to be aggressive with Baker Mayfield as your quarterback and try and push the ball down the field, especially if Anthony Schwartz is going to be playing more, Demetric Felton, you know, speed guys like that. But it also takes time to run those routes and develop those routes a little bit. So we'll see how the Browns approach this against the Bears and how much they want to protect Baker Mayfield, because, we don't know. Kevin Stefanski hasn't gotten into any specifics, and I doubt either guy will, because they don't want the opponents to know. But this could be one of those injuries where we kind of see the effects of it beyond just what happened on Sunday.
So the other thing is, and we talked a little bit about Baker Mayfield and the sprained MCL. So he had some words for social media, letting everybody know that he was going to be ready. He tweeted out that every time he puts on that brace, somebody is going to pay for it in the near future. So that's an interesting social media tweet by Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, and Jarvis is the guy that plays angry. And I actually asked Kareem Hunt about that tweet. We got him on Zoom right after Jarvis sent that tweet. And I said, what does an even angrier Jarvis Landry look like on the field? And Kareem couldn't really describe it. He mentioned that Jarvis just plays angry, and guys feed off that, and they love that intensity and that passion that he brings. It's just unique to watch him play the game of football and all the things he does. He doesn't back down from anybody. So, look, if Jarvis Landry spends a couple weeks stewing on having to miss these games, that might end up being a good thing for the Browns when he comes back and he's ready to kind of get caught up.
Now, we've kind of alluded to it. Kevin Stefanski won't rule him out, but he also won't rule out IR. So the question becomes, what do you do if you don't have Jarvis Landry?
I think that's where a guy like Demetric Felton comes in. I think he can take some of those slot reps. Now, that's a lot to ask for him, obviously, but you got to see a taste of what he can do in this game. So I think you can line him up in the slot a little bit. Donovan Peoples-Jones has played a lot in these first two games. He hasn't put up big numbers. He's only got 2 catches, but this is going to put the onus on him. Of course, Anthony Schwartz as well is going to have to step up. And look, an old favorite, Rashard Higgins. Alex Van Pelt made it pretty clear Higgins is the 4th receiver last week, but Higgins did play a fair amount on Sunday after Landry went out. And, we talk about that connection between Baker and Higgins. I actually think it's even stronger between Baker and Landry, the connection those two have. But when you can kind of just transfer that back over to Higgins and he's going to be a guy that's reliable and where you need him to be, I think kind of by committee they can pick up some of that slack.
So here is Kevin Stefanski about Landry and the wide receivers.
Yeah, I've already spoken to him. He's attacking his rehab, as you can imagine. Nobody likes to be injured, but it's kind of going back to the statement I just made about Jed. These guys are going to fight their rear ends off to get back and battle and compete with their teammates. And I think Jarvis will be another example of that.
And if you don't have Jarvis and Odell for a game, how does that change how you run the offense, how you call plays?
Just who's ever available to you, Scott. You got to move the ball no matter what.
But, Dan, it will affect your game plan and the things you call and what you can do on offense.
Yeah, exactly. When you don't have that reliable set of hands that can make, spectacular catches for you on the sideline, it can become an issue. You have to rely more on your tight ends. You have to rely more on your running backs. I thought the Browns, when Landry left and after Baker got hurt, the offense did actually kind of get going there against the Texans. They scored on 4 straight drives. They put up most of their points, actually all of their points after Landry left the game, and most of their points after Baker initially got hurt. So the coaching staff, I thought, did a nice job of making that adjustment against the Texans. It gets a little bit tougher against the Bears. They've got a little bit better of a defense than Houston, but I think they have so many weapons on this team and so many versatile guys like Felton and Hunt, and we know what Chubb can do in the run game. I think they'll be able to figure this thing out.
Yeah, the other thing is you could go 2 running backs and 2 tight ends, and then you only have 1 wide receiver. So there's a bunch of things they can do. One thing that has been impressive, and it's probably gone a little under the radar, is the way Baker Mayfield is completing the football. He's completing passes. Jake Trotter tweets out, after 2 games, Baker Mayfield leads the NFL in completion percentage, 81.6%. Again, that's good things for this offense, Dan, and it's over 80% completion percentage. If you're doing that in practice, that's pretty good. In game, it's a high level of efficiency. Yeah,
that's an enormous number, 81%, and And Baker hasn't thrown the ball a ton this season because he hasn't always had to, but it's just a good sign for him, because I think the one area where you wanted to see that improvement is Baker has never been in his NFL career a high completion percentage guy. He's been, I think when he was at his best last year, he was around 65%, which is good. But in the modern NFL, when you look at, there's a ton of guys that get up to 70 or close to 70, and you don't necessarily have to be there. Tom Brady's a guy that's around 65. I think Drew Brees has been a guy that's around 65. But if Baker continues to bump up that completion percentage by year's end, and he's sitting in that 68 to 70 range, or who knows, maybe he'll stay near 80 and just break a ton of records. That's a really good thing for the Browns offense.
Now, the offense wasn't clicking as well as the offense really wanted to. Matter of fact, take a listen to Baker Mayfield about the offense yesterday.
Not real great. We didn't start well. We made the plays when we needed to later in the game, but turning the ball over twice again, just not good. We're hurting ourselves. We need to learn from these mistakes. Obviously, this week it's better to learn from a win than a loss. But we just have to be better. We have to take care of the ball. We knew that that's what their defense is all about, and we gave 2 balls away.
Baker, I'm sure your shoulder was sore on the touchdown run. You also blocking on that reverse. Does it enter your mind at all, like when you're playing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used one arm on the block. The touchdown, I was just going to get in there no matter what.
And again, you like that mindset. Not crazy about his tackling skills, and I'm sure everybody on the offense would feel the same way.
It's really a fine line, because like you said, you love that mindset and you love that competitiveness, and that's what makes Baker Baker. Kind of ironically, I was asking a bunch of guys this week during interviews, Baker got out in front of on an Anthony Schwartz run against Kansas City and was looking to block people. What does that say to you? And teammates respond to that when they see their quarterback going out there and looking for work in the blocking game. But at the same time, you've got to be careful. So it's a fine line that Baker has to walk between putting himself in danger, but also just doing the things that make him who he is. And look, the reality with Baker is he's never missed a start in his career. He's rarely missed any snaps. So at the very least, if he's going to play like that, he's already shown that toughness and that willingness to stay in games and gut it out and continue to be there for his team.
Browns beat reporter Dan Labbe. You can read him in the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we flip sides of the ball. Dan and I are going to talk about the defense and the way they played against the Texans. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine and too late at night. But feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
We continue talking Browns with Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. A number of voicemails, so let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one's about the defense.
Hey, Dave. Love your show. First-time caller. This is about the Browns defense. If Tyrod Taylor had not gone out of the game with the way the Browns defense has played, they would have been lucky to win this game. It was with 9 new starters. They were supposed to be better than last year's defense, but unfortunately they're worse. Let's hope that Kevin Stefanski sits down with Joe Woods and figures this out, because the Browns cannot win and go deep in the playoff without the defense becoming much, much better. Thank you, and thank you for your shows.
All right, Dan Labbe, I agree. I think the defense is very much a work in progress. I thought it would be substantially better. I think it will be better, but it's going to take some time. I kind of poo-pooed that idea in preseason, and the folks that were saying it's going to take some time appear to be correct.
Yeah, you hope that's kind of the answer here, is it's just going to take time. And you hope that, 2 months from now, we're laughing about when we were concerned about this defense against the Texans. But, we only have to go with what we have to go on at this point. And that's, against Kansas City, I kind of threw that out because nobody really shuts down Kansas City. I know the Ravens had some success, on Sunday Night Football, but at the same time, the Chiefs still put up a bunch of points and probably should have won that game if they don't fumble. So, you can't judge them too harshly on that game, but this game, you hate to see Tyrod Taylor kind of have the success he had against you. And then even Davis Mills was able to move the ball, a third-round rookie. It's not great, and this defense has to get better over time. So whether it's just the answer of time together, or if Joe Woods needs to sit down and come up with some new schemes and new ideas, he's going to have to get this figured out, because the caller's right. This offense is good enough to go win the AFC, maybe even win a Super Bowl. The defense has to at least, they don't have to be a top 5 defense, but they have to at least be good enough on defense to help support that offense.
Yeah, and there's, again, it's not one thing. It's not like you say, boy, if we get this, there's so many things that are going into it. Myles Garrett talked about Tyrod Taylor going out, had a little fun with it as well.
Dang, I must have took a lot out of him when I tried to chase him down.
Myles, after Tyrod left, Mills, they were 4 for 4 on 3rd down on 1 drive. What do you guys have to clean up? Looks like a few things are not working too well.
That first 15, it was tough. They were doing things that weren't really seeing in them before, and so that was just a combination of that. Them switching up their tendencies a little bit, and we just had to adjust. Once in that second half, we were able to bounce back a little bit and get off on the field, get some 3 and outs, and show up like we needed to.
And Dan, I'm with you. I thought the defensive line would bring a lot more pressure on the Texans, and it really wasn't there.
Yeah, and Myles Garrett in particular, he had 8 pressures against Kansas City. Now, that number's a little bit skewed against the Chiefs because they were using some of that aggression against the Browns and Mahomes' ability to kind of use different arm angles to throw around guys. But 8 pressures is still an impressive number. And Myles didn't have any pressures on Sunday, according to PFF. So, you need to get a little more out of Myles in that situation, and you will. I mean, that's a complete outlier. We know how dominant Myles can be. But then you need the other guys on that line to really step up and help create pressure and get after the quarterback. And Tyrod Taylor can be difficult because, he's a guy that if he's not comfortable, he's going to tuck it and run it. We know what he can do with the football in his hands. But the defense, again, it's just got to be better. Even if they're a little banged up, even if they have some young guys, they've got to be better for 4 quarters, not just, make a play here and there.
Well, one guy that came back and made an impression in his debut, Grant Delpit, coming back from an Achilles last year, some hamstring issues, got on the field and made sure you knew who he was. Take a listen to Grant Delpit about getting on the field and forcing that fumble.
Oh, yeah, it was a great call by Coach Woods. Just came clean off the edge and opened wide up. No, I should have got the ball out myself. I didn't really know the ball. I didn't know the ball popped up, to be honest with you. But I just tried to really get a good clean hit on them. It was a good play for our defense. It felt great being out there, man. It felt good. It had been a little minute since I suited up and stepped out there. So I'm glad I could be out there for my team, man. Just blessed by God, really. It's been a long journey. So I'm glad that it started like it has, and just hopefully we can keep it going through the season.
And Dan, you see why they want Grant Delpit on the field. There's a lot of things that he can do that should be able to help this defense.
And when you looked out there, you just saw 22 flying all over the field and delivering hits. Obviously, there was that big one on Mills to force the fumble, but just, he was all over the place. And again, this goes back to sort of that work in progress defense. We got to look at that 3 safety look for the first time, which put Ronnie Harrison in the box, and Delpit and John Johnson kind of trading off, playing deep, and they were able to disguise who was dropping back on each play. And as that develops, the defense will get better. Miles is going to be Miles. Like I said, that this was an outlier for him. Having Delpit back and having him be successful like he was, it just kind of gives you hope that, okay, now the Browns can kind of continue to mold and develop this defense the way they wanted to when they brought in John Johnson and they talked up this 3 safety look. And you're going to have a more athletic looking group in that back end who can play multiple ways. Every single one of those guys can rush the passer, but every single one of those guys can also drop back and play coverage too. So there's a lot of versatility there.
One of the concerning things, third downs. Houston converted 8 of 14. That's one of those things you automatically look at and you say, boy, that's way too high. If you're gonna, you got to get off the field as a defense.
Yeah, I mean, they always say third down's when you make your money. Whether you're a quarterback or a defensive player or whatever it is, on third down, if you're a reliable player and you can help a team get off the field or you can help keep your team on the field, that's when you make your money on third down. And this defense on Sunday, and really going back to the Kansas City game too, just has not been good enough on those important downs. And sometimes that starts with those early downs. If you're giving up 5-6 yards on first down or second down, it sets up these manageable third downs. They've got to get better in that area. Going back to that 3 safety look, maybe that helps you now, because when you're in passing situations, you can disguise some more things. You can bring pressure from different places. But you just need, it kind of starts with those guys up front. You need those guys to really step up on third down and make a quarterback uncomfortable. And that just wasn't happening enough yesterday.
Well, and Kevin Stefanski kind of addressed that. So pass rush, third downs, it's not just one thing. Kevin Stefanski talking about the need to improve pass rush and third downs.
It's never one thing. It's a combination of rush and coverage when you're talking about those passing situations. So there are definitely things we can do better up front. There are definitely things we can do better in the back end because they go together. So that's one thing we're going to work very hard on this week to have an improvement in that area, because we need to be better on third down. I think there were some really good moments, Marla, and then it's just a matter of you got to get off the field on third down, and you got to find a way. And it's always a combination of things. It's never just one thing, but that's going to definitely be something we work on very hard this week and really going forward. It's third down's a really important down. It's really important that we get the offense into some non-advantageous third down distances and then get off the field, force them to punt.
And Dan, that's part of the issue is you're not getting it done on first and second down, so third down is third and short. Third and short is tough in the NFL. But again, everything is interrelated with that. It's not, if there's one thing, you'd go and you focus on that and it'd be fixed.
Right. You've got to kind of figure everything out. Everything has to work hand in hand. And Stefanski laid it out there. The front four, obviously, they create the pressure, but the back end, they've got to cover long enough to let that pressure get home so that ball doesn't come out quickly and sort of negate that pass rush. I do believe this defense is going to get better as we go along. I just think after 2 weeks, it's a little too early to bail on the defense, and I don't think anybody's doing that, but it was concerning seeing how they played against the Texans. It sent up some red flags, and now you're watching a little bit more closely, especially if they end up going up against a rookie this week in Justin Fields. If he comes in and he plays really well and that Chicago offense dices up this defense, then you get really concerned. So that's sort of where we're at right now with this defense. Is it's teetering just a little bit. And if they can get some of those things fixed heading into this Bears game, they can certainly kind of push it back to the good side as far as how we feel about this group.
Yeah, without question. Again, 1-1, better than 0-2, not as good as 2-0. Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside. On the other side of the break, is this team a work in progress? We'll dive into that. Plus a look at the offense. Nick Chubb getting it done. We'll have more on that. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
Dan Labbe and I continue to talk Browns. Time to head to another voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, Dave. This is Ron Byer. Dave, when we started the season, a longtime fan seeing the roster, we thought instant dominance. But after 2 games, we got to step back and say we do have a good roster, but it is going to take time. And with Baker Mayfield as the leader and the gutty performance he put on yesterday, Chubb and Hunt feeding off the line also feeding off of Chubb and Hunt, the blocking downfield, blocking initially, and then also the receivers blocking, that's all positive. Landry, that's going to be a big hurt if he's out for long. He is the heart and soul of the team, and that's going to hurt. The defense, a lot of good people, but it's going to take time for them to work out and become a dominant defense that we want. Right now, we need to step back, try to get every win we can, even ugly wins. They're great, and hope for the best down the line. Hopefully by mid-season, we're in 100% form and getting to the dominance that we want.
And Dan, I think the way, as I was listening to Ron, one of the things popped into my mind. Right now on defense, they have a bunch of talented individuals. They need to become a talented unit, and that does take time when you think about it.
And some of those individuals, too, are young guys, like a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who we spent so much time talking about, but he's still a really young guy, and he's still a little bit raw, and they're trying to kind of find the right role for him. You know, Delpit just played his first game on Sunday. Greg Newsome is a rookie. So you've got young guys out there, or even guys trying to rehab their careers like Tack McKinley and Malik McDowell. So it is going to take a little time, and I think that Ron makes a very good point there. In the NFL, kind of across the board, we tend to forget this, with teams not taking preseason as seriously, with camps not being like they used to be, a lot lighter. It can take a little time, and September can feel a little preseason-y sometimes with sort of how things play out. Your goal is to be playing your best football from Thanksgiving to whenever your season ends. And in the case of the Browns, they're hoping it doesn't end until the Super Bowl. So you're really building up to that. You don't want to peak right now in September. You want to peak in November, or start to peak in November, so you're playing your best football when it counts the most.
Having said that, you take a win whenever you get it, and the more of them you get, the longer your season goes. All right, this is Pro Football Focus tweeted this out, and this is interesting. Most 10-plus yard rushes. Number 1 is Dalvin Cook. Lamar Jackson is a couple behind him. 3 behind Cook is Nick Chubb, and he is tied with Jalen Hurts. So 2 quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, and Nick Chubb third in 10-plus yard rushes. I expect that to just keep growing. I think they're gonna feature Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt a little bit more even.
I think they will too, especially if Baker is banged up and they need to protect him and Jarvis is out. And, you know, I know there was some consternation on Sunday about the number of carries Nick Chubb was getting, but I thought Kareem Hunt was running the ball effectively. And the reality is, it's such a luxury to be able to kind of put Nick Chubb on ice for a little bit in a football game. And then when you need him to come finish off a game, put him out there and he finishes it with a big touchdown run. I mean, he's nearly impossible to stop in normal circumstances, but when he's healthy and fully rested, and Kareem Hunt's been carrying the load a little bit, it just makes things so much easier for Nick Chubb. Come back in, your offensive line is in a rhythm. They've got it figured out. And all you have to do is be fresher than the defense and just be Nick Chubb. And I think that number is going to continue to grow. It is weird seeing two quarterbacks on that list. It's not surprising seeing Lamar Jackson on that list, especially after what we saw on Sunday Night Football. But Chubb's going to keep climbing this list, and he may end up at the top by the end of the year.
Yeah, and again, keep him fresh, keep Hunt fresh. You know, those are, you have a luxury because you don't lose a whole lot between either one of them. So don't ride one of them into the ground. Keep them both fresh and make defenses have to deal with them into December, January, and February. So Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton kind of at the podium together, talked about running the ball late in games, and then Demetric Felton showing up big when he got his opportunity.
I felt good going to the fourth. I mean, I think we did a good job the whole game of pounding them. Even though things weren't quite opening up for us at first, we did a great job of leaning on them, and the O-line kept pressing the defenders, and eventually in the fourth quarter opened up for us.
Demetric, how do you top that first touchdown?
I don't know. It was awesome, though. It was a great experience. You know, everybody did their job, blocked for me, and I was able to get in the end zone.
So just talk about a spin move and breaking a couple tackles there.
You know, it's a lot of things that we work on at practice, you know, making moves that once you get to the second level. So I just did what my coaches have coached me to, and it worked.
And again, Felton could be in line for more playing time. I wouldn't rule out if the Browns wide receiving core is as banged up, 2 backs, 1 receiver, 2 tight ends. There are, you have a number of options if you are the Browns offense.
And there were moments yesterday where they had Felton and Kareem Hunt on the field together. And to me, I'm just thinking, what do you do as a defense when those 2 guys specifically are on the field together? Now, we haven't seen Felton run the ball a whole bunch yet, but, you know, we know the problems Kareem Hunt causes. You see him come on the field, you might want to have another linebacker out there because he's a running back, but then they can split him out wide and create mismatches because he'll just dominate against a linebacker running route. So now when you have him and Felton on the field together, I mean, what do you do as a defense? Because they can hand it to Kareem Hunt running downhill. They can split both those guys out wide and really cause problems for you. It makes it really difficult, this emergence of Felton here at this point. It just, I don't know what defensive coordinator is going to do if Felton kind of keeps playing like this and keeps giving the Browns this luxury that he gives them to have just another weapon.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. If you have Felton, you have Hunt, you have Njoku, you have Hooper, and you have a wide receiver. There's going to be, you're either going to have to put a safety on Njoku or Hooper. You don't want to do that. Or a linebacker on Felton or Hunt. You don't want to do that. And that's where the ball's going to go. So schemed up very nicely by the Browns offensive staff. Well, we talked about finishing after the Chiefs game. Baker Mayfield addressed how the Browns finished against Texans.
We made the plays that we needed to down the line in the second half. You know, we need to put a complete game together. You know, we didn't start fast. We hurt ourselves. So we need to put a complete game together. But we definitely made the plays when we needed to, and that's improvement off of last week. So, you know, just take it one step at a time, keep ironing these mistakes out, and get better.
And again, yes. Check it. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those games. We saw games like this last year, too, where the Browns, you know, obviously it took them a little time in this one, but where they had a lead. And we've seen that this team can finish really effectively in the fourth quarter when they can lean on that run game and just punish a football team and punish a defense with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and maybe hit some play action and stuff like that. You know, the only thing we haven't really seen this team do a lot is maybe come from behind or have that game-winning drive or something like that, but they'll have some opportunities to prove that they have that in them. But I would not want to be a team trailing the Browns in the fourth quarter and having to figure out a way to stop Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, not just from running out the clock, but these guys hit home runs. So they just, they put the nail in the coffin by scoring touchdowns, not just, you know, grinding and running the clock down. It's almost impossible if the Browns have the lead in the back half of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, if you take a play off, one of those two is going to end up in the end zone in all likelihood, or if you're a step slow. Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll talk more defense. Scheme or execution? Which is it? Is it both? Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to Sports for CLE. We continue talking Browns. Time to head for another voicemail of truth and reason. This one dealing with one of the Browns linebackers.
I didn't get the reason. Why is Anthony Walker out? Kevin Stefanski didn't. He just said he was out and on injured reserve, but what's the reason he's out for 3 weeks? He didn't look like there was any issue when he gave a press conference after the game on Sunday. Just wondered.
All right, so let's bring back in Dan Labbe. And Dan, so it's a hamstring injury, and they knew it was serious enough that IR means 3 games, has to sit out, yesterday being the first. And let's not minimize that. That's your defensive signal caller and a guy who's quickly become a leader. So Browns missed Anthony Walker.
Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with him early in training camp and kind of talk about that leadership side of it and wearing that green sticker. And he's a guy that takes it very seriously. And, he jokes about playing quarterback when he was younger. But, I do think that sometimes helps guys a little bit understand the leadership position. And, he learned from Darius Leonard in Indianapolis kind of what goes into that. So, yeah, not having Anthony Walker is a big loss. And the nice thing now with the rules they still have in place is you can put a guy on IR, you can use his roster spot, and he can come back after 3 weeks. It's not like he has to be out half a season anymore or a full season like it used to be. So Anthony Walker will be back. He'll be in the middle. But credit to Malcolm Smith. Everybody calls him the old guy or the OG. And, he played really well. He was really good for the Browns last year, and he played really well on Sunday. Yeah, came up with the interception, and he showed up, without question. All right. Miles Garrett was asked, the struggles that the defense have had, scheme-related or execution-related. Here's his answer.
It's on both of us. We got to play to the best of our ability, whatever call that he gives us. So if we don't make the play, that's not only on him, that's on all of us. So, you put the blame on every single one that's on the field, all 11 of us, and him as well. We're a team, and we're in this together.
Miles, could you tell the fans who've been waiting to get back?
Hell yeah. I love to see it, love to hear, the dog pound chanting. Love to hear the energy on third down. It was frustrating not to be able to get off the field that first half, but that second half we started to get things rolling, and we started to really hear those chants for defense. We want to be able to make it expectation for us to get off the field and make a big play when it's third and long or third and medium.
And Dan, the he was Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator, which has been taking some heat for the way the defense is playing. It's a valid point. They got to find a way to do whatever they're in.
Yeah, it's always it's never as simple as we want to make it. Maybe there's some plays where the calls could be better or the scheme could be better, but there's also times when you've just got to be Myles Garrett to go make a play. You've got to be Denzel Ward and go make a play. Sometimes it just comes down to that. NFL players love the phrase, those guys get paid too, right? The guys on the Houston side, whether you think that's a team that's going to win 7 games or 2 games, those are still professional football players over there. So, you've got to be able to execute against them. And I think there's going to be a lot of looking internally today, not just for Joe Woods, but also for these players, like what can we do better? How do we fix whatever happened on Sunday? And I think it's going to be a combination of guys just need to be better, but also let's really kind of examine this scheme and see what needs to be fixed.
And the other thing to keep in mind is there are a lot of new faces, yes, but the new faces haven't been able to be on the field in the grass together because this guy's been nursing a hamstring, this guy's been nursing, a quad. There have been nagging injuries, less time, practice time. So the cohesion that you want from a defensive thing is it's just going to take guys being out there getting used to the way each other does things.
Yeah, and I think some of that you can only do in real games. I mean, you can have as much practice, as much preseason as you want. I mean, these guys could have played 4 quarters in every preseason game. And I still think there would have been things that they would have needed to iron out just in live action on Sundays against an offensive coordinator who's up all night, all week, trying to watching film on you, figuring out how to attack you and how to stop you, all your tendencies. It just takes time. It's sort of, I guess, has been the theme of this show so far with the defenses. You kind of hope that's the issue, that it just takes time for all these guys to kind of get on the same page, figure each other out. And frankly, it takes time for Joe Woods to figure out, when do I want to use this guy? When is this guy at his best? Do I want to have this guy on the field more or less? And so everybody's still kind of feeling out how this thing is going to look.
Without question, the good news is Super Bowls are not won in September or October, so plenty of time to get things straightened out. Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Dan, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dan Labbe, make sure you read them. Pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com for Browns coverage. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, another Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer at cleveland.com. Ellis Williams joins us. We will talk Browns Texans with Ellis Williams straight ahead. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Sports4CLE continues. We continue talking Browns football. Myles Garrett talked about not only losing Jarvis Landry, but kind of the scare when Baker Mayfield got banged up in the game against the Texans.
I think he was just playing up for the cameras, man, honestly. He kind of like rolled the shoulder a little bit, rubbed some dirt on it, and he was back out there. But, I mean, the guy's tough. And he just, honestly, I don't want to say he's a carbon copy, but he's like Brett Favre 2.0. Less picks, though. But the man's, stuff rolls off his back. I mean, he doesn't let the last play affect him whether it was good or bad, touchdown or end. But he just rolls with the punches, and he always keeps on coming. He always stays the same, and we love that from him because he always brings that intensity that we expect from him.
Let's welcome in Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. And Ellis, use that to kind of give you an idea of the way teammates respond to Baker Mayfield. You and I are probably sitting there going, man, I wish he wouldn't do that. Teammates love when they see the quarterback getting involved and trying to do good for the team that does not involve what a typical quarterback does.
Yeah, first of all, that interception wasn't even Baker Mayfield's fault. So to see him still throwing it all out on the line there on a mistake he didn't make tells you really everything you need to know. And whether it's Baker doing something like that or going out and lead blocking on reverses as he's done 2 weeks in a row now, or in Kansas City on the last play before half trying to get involved in a special play that he revealed during the week that he wasn't even supposed to be down there for. He's the all-encompassing leader of this team. On the field, skill-wise, I have compared him to Kirk Cousins before. Listeners of me know that. But as a leader, he compares to Kurt in no way whatsoever. He is a complete and fiery personality that raises the game of everyone around him.
So, another thing that Kevin Stefanski talked about was just, Jedrick Wills and kind of battling and being out there for the start. Here is an update after Wills was able to make it for the start from Kevin Stefanski today.
Yeah, I'd tell you, Nate, he's no worse for the wear. I was really proud of him for how he responded, wanting to go out there, competed. And like I said, he got stiff, and I thought it was the right thing to do to take him out. But that's a big deal, and I think your teammates recognize that, but that's a big deal when you fight to make it to Sunday.
And Ellis, without question, good thing they had Jedrick Wills, Chris Hubbard still week to week, and Wills, you didn't really notice, that he was banged up.
Yeah, Jed gave it his best all, and then, Blake had to come in there and relieve him in the second half. But this is a team that, again, they're going to battle through their injuries, whether it's Baker or Jedrick and now Jarvis coming up. And the list of the injuries they continue to endure, it's a training staff that gets their players ready to go. Baker Mayfield didn't miss a snap. Again, Jed tried to muscle it out, and then Blake comes in. And at the end of the day, they still have 4 out of 5 of their offensive linemen, and that's going to be enough to bulldoze really the rest of this league, regardless of what Jed's status is going to be this upcoming Sunday.
So we know Jarvis Landry banged up, MCL sprain. Not sure if he can go. Anything from he may play to he may need time on the IR and miss multiple weeks. There's a possibility that you could be relying on Donovan Peoples-Jones and Anthony Schwartz. Both had tough some mistakes that they made, and then you've got Demetric Felton. So Kevin Stefanski talked just about all the young guys, and you might have to rely on them this week.
We're excited about Demetric. Obviously, we're excited to add him in the 6th round of the draft. He's worked really hard throughout the spring and summer. As you guys have seen, he's been in the running back room, been in the wide receiver room. And these are the type of things you do with rookies. You grow their role based on what they're ready to handle. So he obviously made a great play for us on that screen and great individual effort. He's made plays as a returner. So it's our jobs to grow their roles. And really, the truth is these guys earn their roles. And I think Demetric's doing that. We try to put together a game plan to win that game each week. And it's our job to see who's available to us and construct a game plan accordingly. You mentioned those 2 young guys already this season. Donovan has made big plays for us. Think about that 3rd down late in the Kansas City game. I know Schwartz has made big plays for us. So if those 2 are out there, we're going to be counting on them. And if someone else is out there, we're counting on them. That's kind of how it works. But really, I would tell you that that's my job. That's our job as coaches to make sure we put the guys that we have available to us in the best position to succeed.
Very valid point. Don't ask the guys to do things that they can't. Don't ask them to be Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. Find what they do well and play to it.
Yeah, that's the key to success, and that's always been Kevin Stefanski's MO. And I think we do have to be careful in asking or expecting Jarvis Landry as evaluated, expecting Jarvis Landry's spot to just be filled by Demetric Felton. You know, he provides some similar short yardage burst and twitch, and he seems like a sound catcher of the football. But this is Jarvis Landry we're talking about. He's a security blanket on third down, a master route runner, and does his most dangerous work between the line of scrimmage and 8 yards depth. Where Demetric's explosiveness is clearly when the ball's in his hands as a returner, or as we saw on the screen, he did have that deep cross, but really was efficient. 3 targets, 2 catches. And this was a team that also relied on its tight ends on Sunday after both the rookies' mental loaf, if you will, not going for that ball across the middle, and Donovan Peoples-Jones fumbled. Baker Mayfield didn't target either of those guys after those plays. And to me, this seems like a chance to reinvigorate Rashard Higgins. He's been Baker's mini savior during their time together. And when there's not many options left, Higgins seems to be the guy to step up. So I could see Kevin using this week to bake more Rashard Higgins into the game plan as they continue working through these rookies, managing their workload, and then just still trying to figure out what Donovan Peoples-Jones really is in this league.
And again, no word yet on if Baker Mayfield, or if Odell Beckham Jr. will be able to go. We still don't know that. Trending in the right direction is what Mary Kay Cabot tweeted out earlier. Still don't know about Jarvis Landry 100%. But Kevin Stefanski said one does not equal the other. Here's what he said about Landry and Baker Mayfield, and Odell Beckham.
We'll work through all those type of decisions over the next few days, if you will. But I will see. Yeah, I'd say the Odell situation is really not dependent on the availability of anybody else. So we'll again continue to bring him along and then see when he's ready to go. And then Davion Davis, I don't really have an update there, Tom, on that one.
And after that, we can update that Davion Davis was released, so he's a free agent. That was earlier, and Davion Davis has been released as part of some moves. But again, that's important to note that you don't rush one guy back in Odell because you need him because Jarvis can't go. And again, they don't know. I think Wednesday we'll probably get a little bit more clarity on what they're thinking with both of those players. As far as this week goes.
Yeah, we'll know a lot more on Wednesday. And in terms of Odell, this seems like it's really coming down to what he thinks is best for him, his people around him and his team thinks best. That can get tricky when you're dealing with teams, doctors, and your own personal doctors. And that's why, to me, for the most part, it feels separated from the Jarvis Landry situation. They play different positions too, for the most part, within the offense, but you have to evaluate Odell's situation in a vacuum because it's so unique compared to everyone else on the team. And this is a team that's not going to panic or make knee-jerk reactions based on one injury anyway.
Yeah, and let's be clear about this. If Odell Beckham doesn't feel he can play, he shouldn't play. This is a guy, you want him 100% convinced he's ready to go. And if he's not, you don't put him out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because, again, this team is playing for November and December. It's the reason Nick Chubb only had 11 carries yesterday. They clearly are comfortable easing them into this long season, and Odell's not a player that they need to make plays in September anyway.
Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. On the other side of the break, we'll talk a little bit about Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Sports4CLE continues. We continue talking Browns football with Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Ellis, it just seemed to me that Denzel Ward didn't have one of his better games. Am I reading too much into that? Did you arrive at the same thing? I know you've probably watched the game a couple more times than I did. First look, it was like, ooh, that was not a great game for Denzel Ward.
Yeah, initial reaction is it's a tough one for Denzel, especially in that first half when Tyrod Taylor completed 5 passes for 50 yards, all to Brandon Cook's direction. But then when you rewatch or you really just study the Browns' defensive game plan as a whole, I'm starting to think that there's an issue between how Joe Woods is using Denzel or what he's asking him to do. Simply meaning there's too much soft coverage, too much zone coverage, and you're not giving your cornerbacks an opportunity to get in the face of other receivers and compete. Almost the way a linebacker or a running back needs to be involved and have their nose on the ball and be around the play. You can get a little lackadaisical playing zone repeatedly like that, and that's what they've been asking Denzel to do. So I said this last week on the show, I'd like to see the Browns play more man defense. I don't think that was the case yesterday, and I think Denzel's not playing the best right now, but we also have to look at the positions that Joe Woods is putting him in as well.
Yeah, and Kevin Stefanski did address Denzel. Here's what he had to say about his performance in the Texans game.
I tell you some good moments, some moments I'm sure he wants back, and I know I can already see him working the technique that he's going to work this week and drill down on it. You go against some pretty good wide receivers, they're going to make a play here and there. It's really how you respond. So some good moments and definitely some moments that he's going to work real hard on this week.
We had that pause to kind of build the anticipation there, but. Again, it could be the zone that you're talking about. That's the technique that they want to get him to work on.
Yeah, and again, it's about figuring out what is best for Denzel. How can this secondary become the best version of itself? And it doesn't help when your pass rush isn't creating any pressure either. No hurries, no sacks for Myles Garrett yesterday. I think Clowney was in there 5 or 6 times, but only 1 sack, and that was for Grant Delpit. And this is a defense that is predicated on complementary football, meaning the front 4 are going to create pressure, not having those back end guys having to cover as much, and they're not coming through yet.
So we did get to see Grant Delpit make his debut. You got to see some of that 3 safety look. What'd you think of it? What jumped out to you with the 3 safety look that the Browns want to use?
Yeah, really excited for what Denzel can become in this league. He's long, he's rangy, he showed that, he's explosive, he can make plays on the football. He should have had an interception. Not that it's a knock on him, but that he was in the right place at the right time because of the player that he is, and should have made a play on that ball. And then he's able to, be sent on a blitz and disrupt the football. And he said today that he should have probably picked it up and made an incredible play instead of just a great one. But if the second round talent who is in his first year of play due to that ruptured Achilles is already making plays like that and being hard on himself, then it's only going to go up from here. And really the sky's the limit for Grant Delpit, which is huge news for the Browns and this defense as their second round pick last year. They had big plans for him a year ago, and now it seems like they're finally going to be able to capitalize on that.
And the other thing is he looked like he was all over the field. You mentioned almost had the interception, then comes in, blitz in the sack. Run Phil was pretty good where he came to the hole and had some physical presence in the hole with the running back as well.
Yeah, those are the disruptors you look for at the safety position. Anyone who was watching Sunday Night Football last night continues to be reminded the type of playmaker and game changer Tyrann Mathieu is for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Browns dodged a bullet not having to play against him in week 1, but a player that can just be that multifaceted, can be at 2 places at the same time simultaneously almost, because they're able to break so quickly, or they're long enough to cover 2 spots, or they're quick enough to get there, have the film recognition to be there. Those are just tough guys to find. So Grant Delpit is in the infant stages of that, but it clearly has a high ceiling, if not the highest ceiling of any safety on this team.
And Kevin Stefanski talked about Grant Delpit's debut and what he saw.
Yeah, he really did, Scott. He filled the run well there at the end of the first half. Obviously made a splash play with the sack fumble late in the game. But by and large, he was where he was supposed to be. Was it perfect? No. But that's his first NFL football game. So I thought a really good effort for his first time out there.
And Ellis, did you see the type of the thing that kind of jumped out to me about Delpit? It looked like he was all over the field, but there was the versatility. You mentioned the coverage was pretty good, but I was even more impressed with the way he comes downhill in the run game as well.
Yeah, he is filling gaps well. He's a sound tackler, which this team is going to need as the year goes on, as teams probably try to run the ball on them more on the perimeter at times, because you're not getting anything interior on them as it is. And again, this is going to come back to Joe Woods and his ability to be creative and diverse in the way he uses an athlete like Grant Delpit. But when he's put in those spots, that was a great debut by the rookie. And again, it seems like as he gets his legs under him, he was on a little bit of a pitch count too. If he can get up to 40, 50 snaps, it's going to completely blow up the playbook for the Browns and give them an ability to be creative, exotic, if Joe Woods is willing to be that.
Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Ellis, always appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, man. Appreciate it.
Always fun. See you next week.
All right, Ellis Williams. Make sure you read him in the pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. That'll do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We will see you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Scheduled guest Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, as well as Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow at 4 here on Sports4CLE.